Hey guys, welcome. Let's go around, and my name is Riley. I've got Mike with us today. I've got Chelsea. I have Chelsea with us, and Jay today.
Hello.
Hey, and today, guys, I want to just ask you some questions about what does it mean to be all in? Do you have to get it all? So what about materialism, and how has that creeped possibly into your lives in the past, or is that a struggle that you currently face? If we're all in with God, does that guarantee that we get it all? Why or why not?
Who's going first?
Anyone, just giving you a second to think about it.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if it's ever really been a problem for me personally, because I'm not a huge like material things person. But I do have the issue of relying on stuff. More than I rely on God. I think sometimes I have that issue. When we moved to Iowa, we got rid of a whole bunch of stuff and realized how much stuff we had that we just didn't need. But I think I tend to lean towards that it's quite the opposite. If you're all in with God, then not only will you not get everything, but you won't feel the need to have everything. You'll feel the need to have the bare minimum. Jesus told his disciples to not take anything with them when they left to minister to people. And I think that's powerful. I think what it all comes back to is the spiritual discipline of simplicity, which isn't like a lot of people hear simplicity and they think Amish, or they think, the Puritan culture and no electricity, none of that. And
no couches in your house because they...
Yeah, and I don't know how I can handle that, but and there's nothing wrong with living that lifestyle if that's what you so choose. It's definitely not a sinful lifestyle to not hold on to any material things, and to just make things out of what God gave you in nature. But I think simplicity to me is more about putting everything through a God filter. Are you putting God first? When I get this thing, is it leading me towards God, or is it leading me away from God? Because I'm a firm believer that there is no neutral. There's no, well, it doesn't do either. It either does or it doesn't. What is your purpose for it? What is your intent? What is your heart when you're buying it or purchasing it or receiving it, or however you may get a material thing? Where's your value in that? And so to me, that's what it all comes back to.
Man, thanks.
Yeah, I second that with Jay. I never been more about like having things and having lots of cool possessions and stuff like that. I mean, when I was a little kid, yeah, sure, I wanted all the cool toys and all that stuff. But as I got older, I valued spending time with family and spending time with my friends and like just doing things and having experiences rather than having things. Now, you've heard maybe the term boys with toys. Would it be cool to have, a jet ski and a four-wheeler and all these cool things? Sure, absolutely would. But are we all in with God? In fact, it says in Scripture, it says in the Bible, that God wants us to give back and to give to those that need things. There are people out there that need assistance, that need help. And if we're having these luxuries on four-wheelers and jet skis and stuff like that, well, obviously we can take that and use the finances that were required to purchase those items to help others instead. And there's even stories in the Bible where Jesus told people to go sell their possessions and follow him. And it absolutely, you're absolutely right, Jay. It's like the opposite. You know, we don't have to have everything. What we need to have is a relationship with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely fall into impulsive buying every now and then. It's usually like a new fish or 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 a 30th toy for my dog, or like another meal takeout. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that I've come to realize I don't need also. And I think part of that comes from an experience of too much impulsive buying and knowing that, oh, this is probably not going to be worth it. Or, you know, would I actually, like, realizing that a lot of times you end up buying something and then you end up not using it or regretting it or being like, yeah, I shouldn't have spent that $10. Like, and I never learned to save when I was a kid or as a young adult, you know? And so, when I've come across things that I want that are bigger purchases, it's disappointing because I can't do anything with them, or I can't give to people that I want to give. And I love to give to people. And I think that's the biggest downfall of materialism is that there's so many people that I want to help. Like if you have a friend who can't make their mortgage payment or who can't, who has a birthday and they don't get anything for their birthday, or I don't know, that tears my heart up and I want to celebrate with them. And then I'm like, well, too bad. You just bought this new candle and that other fish and all these things. So I think perspective has helped a lot, because I'd much rather see somebody else get joy from those things, because I was able to provide them for them, instead of for myself, which is an interesting turn of my brain.
Mm-hmm. Man, yeah, I like how we've been talking about the perspective that it takes when we buy things. Jay, I like how you said, I think it goes beyond purchasing things. I like buying things. I am a spender, Dave Ramsey would say. And and I spent my first adult years in Las Vegas, Nevada. So I had malls with designer things in them. Just that's what we had. It just was the norm, which is not everyone's norm. But I think it's not what you buy, it's that perspective of, is this pulling me closer to God or further away? I love how that goes well beyond what we buy. That's just the decisions we make. That's the people we hang out with. That's the work that we do, the way we spend our time. I think materialism, we can hoard our time, you know, having all that money, but not wanting to take time to go visit a friend in the hospital. That's still hoarding, and thinking that is yours to take up. and yours to schedule and to arrange, which is where I get caught. I like my schedule. I tend to hoard time a lot. But is it pulling me closer to loving others and loving God more is the question.
Yeah.
Man, I really love that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have any last minute thoughts?
No, but I think examples of that would be super helpful for me and for other people to put that into thoughts. So, for instance, if I were to take the dog toy, for instance, because that is a major spending, that's like a line item for me pretty much. So if I were to go and buy this other dog toy, yes, it would make me super happy for about 2 hours, and then Pocket would get annoying because he would constantly be barking at me to play with her. And so so is this pulling me away from God by making me angry eventually and giving me that short-term happiness and really not worth the $6 of long-term? Like the happiness is going to be 3 hours. Okay. That's all I'm going to get from this toy, because she gets tired of them because I give them to her too many times. She's like, oh, I'll get a new one soon. So am I really, is this going to be God honoring, or is this going to be not God honoring? You know?
Yeah, something that I thought of, and I know we're short on time, is this summer, when we moved to Iowa this last summer, and I had a PlayStation 3, and I always had wanted a PlayStation 4 for like the last 6 years since it came out, and I never, could justify spending that much money. Well, they were extremely cheap by the time, obviously, this last year rolled around, cheap comparatively to what they were. And we had sold our house and made a little bit of money on selling our old house. And so, my wife, Carla, was fine with me getting a PlayStation 4. And I remember going through the process of trying to figure out, well, is this something that is going to help me? And I think we had to put a little disclaimer on it that God doesn't disapprove of you having a good time.
Yeah.
He disapproves of you having an inappropriate good time. And so, first of all, it has given me a chance to talk to all my youth boys about the dangers, heartfelt dangers of violent video games. And there's a lot of argument out there that, well, there's nothing wrong with violent video games, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't own any violent video games because of what Paul says in Philippians, that you should think of, pure and honest things. And so when you're playing a violent video game, you might not be doing those things to real people, but are you thinking positive and pure thoughts? Absolutely not. And I don't think you can argue against that. And so it gave me that platform to stand on, but it also gave me fellowship time with the boys playing sports games or racing games, when they come over to my house. So it's actually served quite a bit of purpose in my ministry, as well as giving me some good relaxation time playing video game basketball. Because much more than a couple hours with a dog toy.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that example, Jay.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I like the reminder too that God doesn't disapprove of us purchasing things or enjoying things. It's just kind of keeping that simple mindset, that simple perspective of doing the most we can for others, while still having that self-care time, that personal time.
Yeah.
Just kind of finding balance in that. So yeah.
It'll be cool to continue this conversation at club on Thursday. We even have some more examples and things that can help even budget how we do some of this type of stuff, and how we can make sure that we do it the right way, and we can have things and just be careful with how we spend money on things and that kind of stuff. Because to put it plainly, we wouldn't be here if God didn't choose for us to be here, right? We are here, God, everything we have and everything that we are is because of God. So we'll talk more about that at club, right?
And I'm excited to talk about like the balance between, having the God honoring good time and not having the materialistic good time.
Yeah, it's going to be a great discussion, guys. And we will see you on Thursday at club. See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.